Hey guys, we are down here at the Namba Connect. I have an amazing guest here with me who is doing amazing work, and I want her to tell you about it. I have here Jessica
Stirewalt
from
JBrazzi Consulting.
You see how I did that? And she's going to tell us about what she has going on, impacting the community from a financial perspective and making sure that you guys understand wealth the correct way. So tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing at your firm.
So essentially we are educating clients but providing solutions so they have the right tools, the right resources, the right connections. So many times I hear people talking about knowledge is power, money is power. I disagree with that.
Yes.
And the reason why is because knowledge is nothing, money is nothing if you don't know how to implement it, you don't know how to take action with it.
Yes.
So not only do I teach the knowledge portion of it, but then I also give them the right tools, the right resources to implement said knowledge.
Yes.
So my clients are understanding debt, but not from a fear base, from an understanding, from a mentality and mindset piece where now they're making decisions from an empowered perspective. They know what they're getting into. They know what that dotted line means because they know the math, the numbers behind the debt. So my clients aren't afraid to take on debt. They actually understand debt, and so now they're moving in an empowered state of mind, which is so freeing, but they also aren't they're moving in a space where it's the opportunity to do and take on debt is not a struggle for them. It's not a fear response. It's not a ostrich in the sand response. It's a, I want that 30-year mortgage. I want it at this interest rate. I want this monthly payment. And I know I'm going to sign for 30 years, but I'm going to be done in 18. They move in a different manner because they understand that debt.
Yes.
And that's for any debt, even student loans. So it can be done the same way.
You know, I love the fact that you're focusing on the mindset because most people underestimate how much that makes a difference. Speak to me a little bit about how you may have a client who underestimates that mindset and where they find themselves because they really don't pay attention to the impact mentally that it has on you regarding money.
So the problem is we come from a childhood where we weren't really taught about money or finances. So then we go into adulthood trying to do and figure out and everything else. And like I explained earlier, we're dealing with a spender versus saver mentality. Neither one of those are healthy because they're both emotionally fueled. So the minute your emotions get out of whack, and that could be in any aspect of your life, the minute you respond and you react to the other side. So if you're a spender, you move into a saver role. If you're a saver, you move into a spender role. So we first focus on the emotional piece behind that. But then there's also another attachment where we are connecting debt with finances or the numbers. I have times where I have clients that are like, I don't talk about numbers because it scares me or, I don't understand them, so it causes me to panic. And I'm like, that's fine. We're going to do this in a way where you stop attaching that emotion to these facts over here. So it's they're seeing the numbers in a different perspective. They're seeing the money in a different perspective, and that's what causes that fear to go away. Top two reasons why people get divorced, if I can speak frankly, sex and finances.
Yes.
Right? If you have financial issues, they're going to react and create problems in your relationship, which is what causes the other side.
Yes.
So while I can't help with the one, I can help with the other, but it's because we're no longer against each other, right? It's not a he said, she said. It's more of a, here's what we want to do. Here's the numbers, because y'all numbers don't lie. Men, women, children, they lie. Numbers never will, right? So as long as they understand the number side of it, they put it in and they're like, okay, well, that's going to cost us 6 months and, we're going to pay this amount of money. Are we in agreement with that's where we want to go? Or is that taking us too far off of our goal here? And that's when you're now taking the emotion out of the equation. You're no longer making any financial decisions from an emotional state of mind, from a fear or a scarcity mindset. You are now making a decision based off of facts and figures. And that's the difference. That's where it takes you from like that rich mentality to a wealthy mentality because of that transition. Because you're not moving in fear or the unknown or the I'm uncertain on how this is actually going to affect me or if it's going to be the right move. It's that guessing. We take that out of the equation.
Yes.
Right?
And in some cases, acting through the subconscious. I absolutely love what you're doing here. What does a actual programming look like for you and a client?
From start to finish. So we do focus on the mindset because that's the biggest part, right? People, they don't realize there's so much emotional baggage to the decisions they've made. And this isn't anything in life, not just finances, right? So I get into the mindset of who they are, what are they about, right? And then I want to get into their mentality piece of what are they trying to accomplish? Because that's going to tell me what's going to motivate them, what's going to cause them to hustle on those late nights when they're so tired, but it's like, you know what, I want to hit this, so I need to give it another hour, So I focus, starting with the mindset, shifting into the mentality, but then it always boils back down to the emotion, right? So that, for me, is the very first thing that I do with my clients. Starting start to finish, like that's where I focus, because I can't get into the nitty gritty of the numbers until I know how to speak your language, until I know how to relate to you, until I know what moves you and where I would lose you, right? So then I get into the debt, and that's when we dig into the debt. I work with math, which means I can't do, assumptions, or I think my mortgage is this, or I think my credit card balance is this. I need exact. If you've ever seen the movie Hidden Figures,
I have.
I love that movie,
yes.
by the way. But there's a scene in that movie where the lady is standing up on that chalkboard, right? And the room full of all these men, and she's on that chalkboard, and she's going through the thing, and I'm paraphrasing here because it's not exact, but she's like, if you take off at this point, you're going to die literally 5 seconds after it takes off. You take off here, you're going to get outer space, but it's going to combust. If you get here, this is perfect. If you go too far out, you're going to die on the way back in, right? And so she does all of these things, and it's literally like minute decimal points. It's like one more decimal point saves you versus killing you. That's the difference with people understanding math from a debt perspective. I don't go to that degree, but I do show them the math behind the debt.
Yes.
So for me, it's more about digging into the math so that they understand what's the formula behind their debt. But then we also talk about income and expenses, because that's another portion of your picture, right?
Absolutely.
So for me, I don't report to the IRS. The information stays with me. It is completely confidential. But people think that they got to hide things. And I'm like, why would you hide it? If it's affecting your household, paying in or paying out, it needs to be brought to the table, because that's the only way I can create a plan for you that makes financial sense.
Yes.
I don't want to come to you and be like, so I'm sorry, but you're upside down. And you're like, oh, well, I actually get, $1,000 of rental income because I rent out a bedroom. Okay, why didn't you tell me that?
Yes. Yeah.
So, but the other part of it is I'm operating in a safe space with my clients, right? Because I want the numbers to be safe for them. I want them to feel comfortable and safe in that space where I'm not going to judge, because who am I to judge? I've lived a life myself. We all have, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I tell people all the time, I'm like, we've all gone through life, right? At some point, you've had a survival aspect of your life. You've had a moment, whether it was a moment, a season, like whatever it was. We all had that moment where we were surviving.
Yes.
I am never going to judge anyone for doing whatever it is that they needed to do to survive at that moment.
Yes.
But I do want to help on the cleanup side, because I don't want you to go back through that if we can prevent that.
Yes.
Because we acknowledged what caused it in the first place.
Yes.
Was it a lack of resources, a lack of knowledge, a lack of understanding? Like, what caused the behind the scenes, right? So for me, that's the bigger piece of why I'm digging into the numbers the way I do, because I want people to take back ownership. If you don't know your money, you can't own your money, right?
Say that one more time. I have to interrupt, and you need to say that one more time.
It's true. If you don't know your money, you will never be able to own your money, which is why banks love it when they can sell you on that checking or savings at 0.01%, because then that tells them you don't know anything about your money, right? So in order to own your money, you have to know your money, and what does that mean for you? How does that money move? That's what we focus on, is educating them on that, which again starts with the expense piece. It's like, what are you spending your money on, right? I had a client, didn't even realize it. They were spending over $200 in subscriptions first and foremost, but it's part of their business.
Yes.
That's normal. But they didn't realize they had 2 subscriptions that were identical. Yeah. $50 a month.
It's crazy how common that problem is.
AutoPay is a wealth delay. Me and my team have always firmly believed that. Anything you said on AutoPay truly is a wealth delay. So that is where we focus on making sure that you know when and why you're making payments, and also accounting for the things that you're doing. That's that whole ownership piece, right?
Yes.
In order to control your money, you have to own it. In order to own it, you have to be accountable for it.
Yes.
So
yes. I absolutely love the way that you are manually changing the trajectory of people's financial futures. Amazing by you, number one. And number two, I love the fact that you dig in to find the problematic issues regarding how people are thinking about their finances, as opposed to giving a blanketing, budget platform or, structure or system for someone to try and step into when it's not realistic for that person to have or, witness sustainable growth. So I absolutely love what you're doing. Jessica, could you please just one more time state your name, state your business, and tell people how they can get in contact with you?
Absolutely. So Jessica Stirewalt with JBrazzi Consulting. My cell number is 704-247-7530.
Tap in. Peace.